One of the things that went extremely wrong for me, obviously having to lean too much on Justin Watson, as we just talked about, but the abysmal opportunity of running the ball. In the first 25 plays, Isaiah Pacheco had 2 carries. I think he had those 2 carries in the first 25 plays. I don't know if he really came close to touching the ball again in the first half. I think he had a couple other runs, but it wasn't much. And then somebody goes in at halftime and says, you know what? It'd probably be pretty wise if we give Isaiah Pacheco the ball in the second half. And so they come out. The very first play, he gets 31 yards on the first carry. And then he doesn't touch the ball again for like another 25 minutes. Man had 12 carries for 70 yards, 5.8 yards on average. When are we going to provide Patrick Mahomes some help? Because one of the things that we've noticed is our tackles are having a lot of trouble, right? They're committing either the holding penalties. I think between the two tackles, Juwan and Donovan, they both had combined 7 penalties, either for false starts or holding again in the game. And part of that is due to the defensive ends are able to just tee off on every single play because there's no threat of running the ball. There's none. We're going to drop back every single play. When are we going to get the tackles and Patrick Mahomes some help and set that defense back a little bit with a fear of running?
Well, this is an Andy Reid-led team with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, so I don't see that happening anytime soon, really. It would be nice, yeah, but that just doesn't happen. And I feel like having Matt Nagy in there as offensive coordinator is kind of messing with their flow a little bit, just kind of throwing them off from having Bieniemy for, 5, 6 years in a row.
I
That
think
playbook
people are
doesn't
looking
look
too
any
far into
different.
that.
I'm sorry. That this
No,
playbook
it doesn't.
there might be some small differences. This playbook is not any different than what they were seeing last year.
It's not, but
Especially with the younger guys, you're going to keep a lot of the same concepts so that they can build upon what they were doing previously. Like they're not just going to come in and change the system and fuck up the young guys like that.
it's also not just about the plays; it's about how he coaches them. I don't think he's doing as good of a job as Bieniemy did, and seeing him as a head coach, I don't have as much faith in him doing well anymore.
Is everyone
Oh,
forgetting that Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the
that's what
Chiefs
I'm
when Alex
saying.
Smith was there?
He was
When
only the offensive coordinator for that 1 year though, taking over for somebody
it was
else
a
too.
fantastic year. He did great.
Then do it again.
He's in the
Listen,
middle of
this the situation that we've complained about. I've complained about play calling in the past since Pat's been here. Honestly, uh, when we had Tyreek Hill, the big playability kind of washed everything away. But last year, this year, we're not seeing just giant chunk plays like out of nowhere a lot of times now, and the the play calling has like Andy, I feel like has already started moving there. Like already knows like the running back position's getting phased out of the NFL, so he's like all on board with this pass happy, heavy in the screen game. Like that's kind of been Andy's mo for a while. So now you have a situation where you have the best quarterback in pretty much the history of football. Of course, he's going to want to throw the ball. Pat does not want to hand off the ball. I don't care like how much you think he would like do whatever it takes to win. If that if that takes handing the ball off, like Pat wants the fucking ball in his hands. Like he wants to, that might even be why he's taking his money now. He's like, dude, bet I can get these motherfuckers to the Super Bowl. Watch me. I can get shitty players to the Super Bowl. Like I'm Superman. So hell no, he does not want to hand off the damn ball. It clearly works when we do it. Okay, like no matter the score, like we can run the ball. Big boys up front want to do it, but
no, and I get the sentiment. I just don't. I don't like it, man. Like there's when you look at the game of football, yeah, running backs can be interchangeable, but that shouldn't change the way that that we play the game. That doesn't mean run it 45 times. You've got Patrick Mahomes, but if we can utilize running the ball in a way that keeps the defensive ends from teeing off on our tackles, so Patrick doesn't have to scramble for every single play, so that the safeties aren't hanging out over the top and that they go nickel and dime package so that there's 9 DBs on the field and everybody's covered in every which way. Like, you got to keep the defense honest a little bit. And right now, through 2 games, defenses have yet to play us honestly.
Low key, I think Pat just likes scrambling around back there all the time.
He just wants to be Superman, dog. He wants to do it all himself. I mean, we've been harping on that for quite some time. I feel like this is a very similar conversation that we have every year. We're going to stick in a pass happy. Andy Reid does this. We know it. And yes, the Chiefs are going to win games that we should have won by much more.
Does our performance through weeks 1 and 2 bring either of you any cause for concern for the rest of the season?
Zero cause for concern right here. Defense is playing phenomenal. Offense always figures it out at some point in the year. And we're still winning games where we mess up tremendously. Where we have 12, 13 penalties. 1 game. Should have won the first game too. Stuff that won't happen again later in the year, obviously. But you know what I'm saying? That happens.
You know what I'm saying?
Quarterback.
What are you from the Department of Know what I'm saying? I think there should be a little bit of realistic concern. Like, if we don't get the turnovers under control, like, we are going to cost ourselves like the number 1 seed or a better seeding in the playoffs down the line. But generally, yeah, if we can win games with making a bunch of mistakes, you clean up the mistakes, you're going to start winning by more. So we got this.
If we play like this against the Bears this upcoming week, who have
we can still beat them
to be bad. Obviously, we can still beat them. Obviously, we can still beat them. But if we put up a performance against the Bears like we did Jacksonville, offensively, obviously, against Jacksonville and Detroit, will that bring forward any further concern? For the
Probably.
Against the Bears, definitely. If we don't score 28 plus points, it's a failure.
Okay.
Well, that's true, but we don't need to go, like, the players don't need to go into the game necessarily thinking that. Like, we don't need to treat the Bears like an automatic dub. We got to take it seriously.
We should. The players.
Yeah. Sure.